All the way in Rome, U.S. envoy speaking on the allegations of genocide against Christians in Nigeria. We'll be getting to hear what he told President Bola Tinubu. Intervention by members of the National Assembly over the ASU federal government face-off leading to the strike. Part of their demand is the Minister Wike should leave University of Abuja's land alone. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Akimale right here in Abuja. Let me take you straight to the situation with respect to ASU, University Lecturers Strike. They've down tool, and there are also warning from the federal government that the no work, no pay policy will kick in. But there are those who are intervening in the matter, including members of the National Assembly. At a meeting earlier today, part of their demand is the land belonging to the University of Abuja, which is in contention, and some of the lecturers are asking the FCT minister to leave that land alone. Take a listen to them.
If the minister is interested in taking land, why is he not moving to take land in the opposite direction from the military? We have been asking ourselves this question, really. And distinguished senators will be helping that university if you stop the minister from taking any piece of land from that university.
All right. As part of the demands of the striking lecturers. But let's quickly bring you up to speed with some of your political roundup stories. And we will be talking about some of the scandal in the creative economy sector in Nigeria. There was a decision of the presidency to disengage one of his aides, the special assistant to the president on creative economy. There are lots to talk about in that matter. Plus, we're getting inside also analyses about the issue of the genocide, the issues relating to the president's travel, and a whole lot tonight on the program. But stick around. Let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The Abia State Governor, Dr. Alex Otti, has issued a stern warning to those allegedly plotting to rig the 2027 governorship election in the state, saying such individuals should write their wills before attempting to subvert the will of the people. Speaking at the government house in Umuahia during the October edition of the Alex Otti Speaks to Abians, the governor says only the will of God and the mandate of the people will determine who governs Abia State in 2027. Governor Otti was reacting to comments credited to the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, who had earlier declared that the All Progressive Congress, APC, would take over power in the state come 2027.
It's for other people to decide who will be their governor. It's so important that the APC is talking about, which have leadership, should know that they are being demarcated in other states.
In Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde says the most important defection in Nigeria has not yet taken place, the defection of hunger and poverty from the country. In his bi-monthly newsletter, Makinde says while the recent defections of some People's Democratic Party governors to the All Progressive Congress, APC, have dominated national discussions, Nigerians should focus on when economic hardship affects out of their lives, and only then will prosperity return. A group of women entrepreneurs in Abuja are lamenting the demolition of their businesses in the Maitama area of Abuja. The women stated their grievances at the media briefing. They said they had occupied the green areas for the past 14 years and that the land was reallocated to another company. However, the Director of Development Control at the FCDA, Mr. Galadima Mukhtar, says they were asked to come for re-evaluation, but they did not comply. Lastly, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has urged residents in the Federal Capital Territory to shun the use of social media to criticize the government. Mr. Wike stated this while flagging off the construction of collector roads in the Idu district of the nation's capital. He urges residents to embrace the act of good citizenship by calling government's attention to areas of lapses.
Let's take you to Rome, where the special advisor to the United States President on Arab and African affairs, Dr. Monsieur Boles, is acknowledging indiscriminate nature of terrorist attacks in Nigeria, and is saying that it affects all people, including Muslims and Christians. He was speaking after meeting with President Bola Tinubu, who is in Rome, in Italy, for the Cabra process heads of state and government level meetings.
Happen to be in the Middle Belt, for example, where farmers are located. Most of these farmers happen to be Christian, and some herdsmen are going through, and they have these incidents. But we definitely, it's not something that we can say is specifically targeted about a specific group. However, we must work together to put an end to this. The Nigerian government and the President Tinubu's administration have recently taken additional measures and put more resources in those areas. And we've seen some improvements in recent weeks. We appreciate those measures, and we definitely look forward to more of those. And we look forward to ending these sorts of acts.
All right, then, quickly, let's tell you about some of the decision of the president in terms of the presidential pardon, and there are a lot of reactions getting on that. And the president and the Attorney General of the Federation has said they will be reviewing that list. But of course, there are those who are asking questions about the president's travel, the number of the travel, the times that he has traveled. Let me give you an understanding of what those travels look like over the last few months. And so if you look at it, in year 2023, the president has traveled 12 times. In 2024, he's traveled 18 times. 2025, he traveled 16 times. So if you look at it, in the period of May 2023 to May 2024, he spent 86 days out of Nigeria. As of August 2025, he spent 181 days. As of October 2025, he spent 192 days. So the graph there tells you the private visit and those of it that are official visits. So in 2023, you see the number of the private visits and the official visits, and the number of private visits and official visits. Private visits or travel in 2024 were 3, with official 15. 2025 is done more official trips and private days that he spent also. So altogether, the president has been out of Nigeria for 192 days this year. Liberos Ushoma is a lawyer and is a political commentator and analyst. He's live for us virtually. Thank you so much, Mr. Ushoma, for joining us. First, let me get your view on about the issue of genocide and what the United States presidential aide has to say. What the government of Nigeria has been pushing is to let the world know that Ted Cruz and some other lawmakers in the United States are wrong, and that there is no deliberate attempt on a genocide attempt on the lives of Christian Nigerians. What do you make of that statement? Do you think it's going to be far-reaching? Trump government and the American Parliament might be able to reason on that note.
Thank you, Seun. First and foremost, it is sad. It is sad that we are even discussing deaths of Nigerians, and we are saying that, well, it is not targeted at just Christians. It is indiscriminate. That for me, first and foremost, it's a mark below average on the government. That's an assessment of the government on itself, to say, in terms of insecurity, we have performed poorly, that people are being killed indiscriminately, but those killed are not just Christians. So I will agree, if you permit me to say, yes, that people that have been killed, you can't really say that it is a certain religious group that have been killed. But the fact remains that Nigerians are being killed in droves. Nigerians are the ones dying. And while Nigerians are dying in droves, you see the governors, the elected officials, the president, they're driving around town in armored vehicles, in a barrage of police convoys, and the president is globetrotting. And now we're having to debate whether it is Muslims or Christians. Nobody is asking whether they are Muslims or Christians. Are they Nigerians? Should they die? Should these people be allowed, for the fact that they are peasant farmers, should they be allowed to go back to their farm? And it is not just in one region of the country. It is everywhere. And like Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, even though he's a politician and they play politics all the time, like he has said, the defection that Nigerians want to see is defection away from insecurity, is defection away from hunger and deprivation, is defection away from diseases, and not whether the people that are dying are Christians or Muslims. The government has admitted by itself that people are dying. The fact that they are not just, those that have been killed are not only Christians, that also you have Muslims. It's immaterial for me. And so let us drop the debates. Let us leave the religion of the people that have been killed and talk about the fact that Nigerians deserve to live and that they shouldn't, be killed the way they are being killed.
Look at the figures and those presidents' travels. What do you make of them?
You see, it takes my mind back. I always say this, and people say I'm being hard on the government. No, it takes my mind back always, because this is the same government. They played opposition so well. Chief Obafemi Awolowo, in his time, God bless his soul, did say that the problems of Nigerians are so enormous that he voted into office that he would not need to travel. He would sit down, fold his sleeves, and solve the problems. And that was at a time there was no internet, there was no social media. Now, with a click of the button, you know what is happening around the world. So we don't even need to go out to go woo foreign investors. If we put our house in order, foreign investors will come. People want to do business with Nigeria. We have the market, we have the population, we have the vibes, and we have the can-do spirit. What we just don't have is, the human, the leadership in terms of human resources in leadership. That's what we don't have. So this idea of attending summit here, globetrotting there, private visit, public visit, 192 days out of 166 days. So when you look at that and then people sit down and say, oh yes, Mr. President, the gains, they already seen the gain. So you can only say the gain when it percolates to the microeconomics, not the macro that they talk about. And we'll talk about the macroeconomics, we'll talk about the policies, we'll talk about market indices. All of this does not make sense to the average man, except the average man on the street is saying that the real sector of the economy is working. And once the real sector works, that is what grinds the economy. So what I will appeal to Mr. President, the problems are so enormous. The killings are there. The hunger is there. His policies, he has consistently admitted that these policies, had caused enormous hardship on the people, that the people should bear, and that this is a gestation period and that they will yield dividend. Yes, I agree, we have seen some, we've seen some gain, but I just wonder if the president will sit back a little more. The gains will be much more than we are seeing with these little trickles. If he will sit back much more and understand, when was the last time we saw the president even take a visit around some of these hotspots in the country? Today you hear killings in Katsina. They are quick to say, oh, point at your governors. The governors are not the chief security officers, properly so speaking. They are just figureheads. The president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And then that takes me back to the issue of traveling. When the president was in opposition, Goodluck Jonathan was there. These were their proposition too, that a president ought, the problem that we have, deserve that the president should sit down more and stop looking inward. President Jonathan didn't travel this much, even though Buhari, was always in and out. President Tinubu also had followed suit. So at the end of the day, the big question begging for answer is, with all of this travel, if what the gains we can see, is just the 7% gain that we are seeing, then I think the president needs to sit back more and see if the gains will be 30%, and then we'll be happy.
But there are those who will say we belong in a more globalized world where you cannot sit in your home and expect miracles to happen. You need to reach out. You need to launch out. You need to have a handshake with the rest of the world. You need to sit where world leaders are sitting, where decisions are made. Would you say you wanted to, you're thinking of President Bola Tinubu being more of a localized president than being a global leader? Is that what you're trying to say?
So, at the last UNGA, United Nations General Assembly, the president was in there. The heavens didn't fall. Even some international scholars of international law and diplomacy believes that he ought to be there to sell Nigeria. But the question had consistently remained. Anytime the African leaders go to UNGA, anytime they address the General Assembly, look at the hall compared to when, Europe, America addressed the General Assembly. I listened to Patrick Lumumba a lot, and Africans need to look inward. The same way the president needs to look inward, it doesn't make him a local champion. Rather, if he puts his house in order, if he builds good industries, if he sings good songs, and his people are happy, the world will create a path to him. He does not need to go cap in hand because they will give him terms and conditions. But the way we are now, we need to look inward. Barack Obama once said that the solution to the problem of Africa lies in Africa. The solution to the problems of Nigeria lies in Nigeria. This security that we are complaining about now, a lot of people have pointed accusing fingers at politicians. The challenges, the hunger, the deprivation, the inflation that we complain about, the scarcity, if you can rest it squarely at the doorstep of leadership. So leadership does not mean you going to shake hands across the world. It means first and foremost putting the right structures in place, and the world will come to shake hands with you. Did America have to travel around the world for them to create the kind of country that everybody now wants to get a visa to? So the challenge here is that our government really does not know when to hold back. Look at our governors. At every little opportunity, they attend parties abroad, they will tell you they went to woo foreign investors. They go see their families abroad, they will tell you they went for foreign investment. Now, there's a new what do you call it, a word in our lexicon, political lexicon, a walking visit. The president, the governor is on a walking visit to France. It's on a walking visit to Brazil. So, and then what's the essence of the AIDS? Let me tell you, Sean, I had opportunity to attend a seminar by the county, Miami-Dade County, the international trade consultants in Miami-Dade County. And do you know that in that consultants seminar, the mayor wasn't even there. It was all the experts in their various fields that went for that negotiation, that went to sell their country. It's not until the mayor or the governor goes around begging people, come and invest, then that's when people begin to invest in your country. With a click of the button, show you are in Abuja, I am here, and we are communicating, we are talking. The last council meeting was hybrid meeting. Did everybody need to be present in the hall? So the world is seeing Nigeria. The world is looking at us. Ted Cruz, did he need to come to Nigeria to talk about the genocide happening, the killings happening in Nigeria? The answer is no. The question will remain that what the world is saying is solve the killings in Nigeria, solve the injustice in Nigeria, solve the hunger in Nigeria, solve the diseases in Nigeria.
Mr. Oshoma, you look at it, 2024, President traveled 18 times. 2023, that he was appointed, he was inaugurated, he traveled 12 times. That's number of trips I'm making reference to. 12 trips he made in 2023, 18 trips in 2024. And I'm hoping that those graphic elements are on the screen for our viewers to make sense of it. As of the last of his visit now made it the 16th time, and the year is still running that he has traveled this year. So an entire 192 days that he has spent outside of Nigeria as of October 2025. So, there was this criticism of the Kenyan president when he was just sworn in, and they were calculating how much it cost the Kenyans for the president to travel abroad, and they were criticizing. And when people were talking about president's travel, there are those who say it is a necessity. This is for good governance in Nigeria, the president, and sometimes you even find the president and the vice president traveling at the same time for different purposes. Maybe we might be looking at something that is evident or important for the first 2 years of them. Maybe in the third and the fourth year, they might stay back home. And maybe the FBI would have come as much as they expect.
So, you see, I always laugh. I take your mind back to 1999 to 2003, and then from 2003 to 2007, when the president was the governor of Lagos State and they were in opposition. And you remember, Obasanjo also, the world then was globetrotting. Obasanjo traveled around the world, and people said, his supporters said he was marketing Nigeria. That our image is so bad abroad that he needed to go around to market Nigeria. And some of his critics said no, that the man was going around to thank those who supported him while he was in prison and using the opportunity to market himself to the world. So these were the same people. These people in government today were, I'm quoting them, those were their statements, that the president does not need to go around to market Nigeria, that he needs to look inward, sit down. And then, Cheung, you touched on a very important aspect, the cost of traveling. You remember when Buhari was on medical vacation in London, we were calculating how much we had to pay for the presidential jet to be parked in a hangar at the airport in London. We're paying in pounds. And yet, today, the same thing applies. The president will go on working visit to France. And in each of those working visits or any visit, you can imagine the number of entourage. Governors will go, escort, not to talk of the cost of the fleets. And then, in all of that, we are talking about tightening our belt. It's like we are at the structural adjustment program, SAP, of Obasanjo, of the IBB era, where the government says, tighten your belts. The president is saying, I know that my policies have brought untold hardship on you. So please bear with me. These policies are the bitter pill we need to swallow. But people also, as much as people want to bear, they also want to see the president bearing. But the idea of when there is insecurity anywhere, the president, boom, is out of the country. It is so bad now that we no longer take insecurity. It has become so normal that tomorrow you hear that bandits kill about 10 people in the north. Some persons are kidnapped in the south. It just, occupy a corner in the newspapers. And nobody talks about it. And then the next thing, the government no longer issues statements about it. And then the next thing, the president is out of the country. Nobody's even talking about the cost these days. That's why I said, you have mentioned a very important aspect of this whole problem. So, we need the president to also, some of those costs of traveling, you can do it remotely. You can talk to investors remotely, plow those costs into critical sector. The world is diversifying into a knowledge-based economy. We look at our universities. These are the same universities that used to do student exchange programs with the best universities in the world Look at our federal hospitals. Go to UCH Ibadan. That was the same. They tell you that UCH Ibadan, those days, used to, the king of Saudi Arabia used to come attend medicals in UCH Ibadan. You won't believe it. But some of these costs, the costs for going on this foreign trip, on trying to woo investors, attending one meeting or the other, would be enough to put some of these critical sectors like health, some of our roads. I don't even want to talk about the roads because they are not motorable. You can't pass from Warri to Benin successfully now. Yesterday, it took the governor of Delta State to intervene, to flag off. We are celebrating flagging off of the construction of road as if the road has been constructed. You know, so that is how bad it is. And that's why if the president would sit back a little bit, take a tour around. Those days, government used to do Meet My People tour. Take a tour around. Go also, look at, feel the pain of the people on the streets. Is it not the same Tinubu from Lagos? So why is it afraid of the streets? Go around these states, look at these places, and then you see it for yourself. Forget about what your aides are telling you. Forget about statement from Bayo Onanuga. And look at what is actually happening. And the president, I bet you, if he takes those approaches, he will reduce his traveling.
All right. Let me get your view as a final conversation. So the U.S. has issued an advisory to citizens right here in Nigeria about a planned free Nnamdi Kanu or release Nnamdi Kanu protest in Abuja, and we understand that it will happen in some of the states on Monday. And there are those who have criticized the prerogative of mercy list as released by the presidency. The Attorney General of the Federation has released a statement saying it's under review, nothing is finalized just yet, and they will continue to work on it until they get a perfect and the final approval from the president. Now, they're saying if you could give clemency to some of these people on the list, why not give Nnamdi Kanu, decide on a non-prosecute on aim, withdraw the matter in court, and let there be a political decision to be made to release Nnamdi Kanu. In all of this, the decision or the list has been made, 175 people on that list. Some of them are kidnappers, thieves, corrupt people, and those who have killed people. The question is, what do you make of the right of the president to exercise his constitutional duty?
It has never been in doubt that Section 175 of the Constitution empowers the president to exercise that prerogative of mercy on anybody under any offense in Nigeria created by the National Assembly, including members of the armed forces. Nobody has doubted those powers. It is the exercise of those powers that people are worried about, considering the insecurity in the country, also considering the peculiar state and the position we are as a people. Lastly, considering where the president is coming from. You remember when Goodluck Jonathan granted amnesty to Alamesia, some of the president's aides and supporters and his party members said it was immoral, the height of immorality. And so today, people have been calling for the release of Nnamdi Kanu because Nnamdi Kanu, whatever he became, was a creation of the federal government. Whatever he became. First and foremost, it was the injustice in the land that led to the creation of somebody wanting to be a hero and wanting to rescue his people. And then subsequently, government started paying too much attention, unnecessary attention to him, and they made him a hero. And you can also agree that in other countries of the world, including America and Europe, when you are charged with terrorism of such nature, certainly sometimes they can even delay trial and play ping pong with it. You know, like some of the prisoners in Guantanamo Bay, even including France and the terrorist attack in France, you know, and all of that. I agree. But then, with what we are seeing in Nigeria, somebody who was charged for drug dealing, young people who were charged for drug dealing in illegal mining in 2023, and then They've just been convicted last year, and the president will grant them amnesty, and a senator, a politician will say that he will sign undertaking for them to be of good behavior. What are we telling the people? Is that, look, some of these persons are pawns in the hands of high-profile politicians. Somebody who are fighting insecurity, somebody who was convicted for selling arms, our arms, national assets, for jeopardizing the country called Nigeria, for selling us out. That person was convicted and he was granted pardon, just the same way we gave blanket amnesty to thieves, kidnappers, criminals. And today we have taken it to an all-time low. So certainly when that happens, people are going to say free, grant amnesty to Lawrence Anini, grant amnesty to Oyenusi, grant amnesty to Monday Subo, or in fact open the prisons. Let everybody go, because the people who took their time, somebody who was convicted for fraud. So what are you telling the EFCC boss? What are you telling the young men in EFCC and ICPC, who in some cases are having to face the pressure of compromise but refuse, and then they convict such persons, and then only for that person to be released by the president? So indirectly, what they are telling them is that, look, you don't need to even bother about Nigeria. So that is why people are saying free Nnamdi Kanu, because it's also not different from the people you are afraid. And lastly, Seun, it is so bad enough that after the exercise of that power under Section 175, that now the Attorney General is saying we are reviewing. So which comes first? So we have placed the horse, we have placed the cat before the horse, and shamelessly, they are now having to review. It is good, at least. It is better late than never. Let them review. It shows that they hear the cries of the people.
All right. Liberals Oshoma is a lawyer and a political commentator and analyst. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight for speaking on these issues. We take a break, everyone, but when we return, our attention will be on the creative economy scandal. One of the presidential aide that was disengaged by the president, he will be speaking with us, opening up on what really happened, the inside story of the creative economy scandal at the presidential villa. We'll be right back, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. So, a few weeks ago, the presidency released a statement disengaging the special assistant on digital and creative economy, Mr. Fegho Umunubo. And there are some details as to what really transpired, which a lot of people were not privy to. Sources inside the presidency said that Mr. Umunubo was linked to a string of scams within the creative industry, allegedly using his presidential office title to broker fake sponsorship deals with filmmakers and content creators. One of the most talked about cases involved an author and filmmaker, Arese Ugu, a creator of the Smart Money Woman, who accused Umunubo of promising a 10 million naira sponsorship for a new project that, according to her, never materialized. Well, according to the insiders within the presidential villa, they said this is not an isolated case, and several industry players were reportedly to have lured into similar bogus arrangements, with Umunubo leveraging his office in the vice president wing to gain credibility. Though quietly relieved of his duties in August, he continued, according to the sources, to present himself as a presidential aide until the State House publicly disowned him. In the strongly worded statement, the government wants stakeholders to steer clear of Mr. Fegho, saying anyone who deals with Mr. Fegho in the name of President Tinubu's administration does so at his own risk. Now, tonight, we shall be getting to know from Mr. Fegho's side and his perspectives. Did he engage in all of these scams? What are these scandals about? Did he use his office to scam Nigerians? What about RSS case? Fegho Umunubo is live for us here, former special assistant to President Bola Tinubu, on digital and creative economy in the office of the Vice President. Thank you so much, Fegho, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Shem, for having me here.
Your disengagement by the President, you work directly in the office of the Vice President. Yeah. And, I mean, you came into a popularity. A lot of people, you became very popular amongst filmmakers and the creatives, and they thought that, wow, this is the angel we needed because funding was coming their way. But all of a sudden, there are those who were on the inside, like Aresa, who was saying that you're now using your office to scam people, collect money from them. Why were you doing that?
Thank you very much for asking that question. It's a very, very interesting question. I know basically a lot of people have tried to advise me not to do this, but I felt I needed to do this just to clear the air. Like you said, a lot of people were reaching out to me to get funding and all of that. And the question is, why were they reaching out to me? I got into office in 2023, and I was clear what I wanted to do. And like I put up in my statement, press release that I released, I stated there, and it was clear that I was not on any government salary. I had no government budget, so there was no affiliation to government money. My strategy was to use the private sector to support the industry. And before I got into government, I was already playing in the creative space. So I understood some of the challenges. And I came in. One of the first things I did was to have the roundtable. And the funny part of it is that a lot of people that attended that event didn't even know that I was the one that organized it because I took the back seats. I spent close to 150 million naira organizing that event because I had some partners. One of them was from the US. When we had that event and the VP was there, one of the things that I did before that event was, because I paid flight ticket and hotel accommodation for everyone that I invited, and a lot of the big names and all of that, I brought them a day before the event because I wanted them to meet the Vice President and have a conversation. And I knew the perception from the creative industry, from the private sector. So for me, my goal was to build that bridge between the private sector and government. So I brought them, and they met with the Vice President. And when they were done with that meeting, I got a feedback from someone. This is a very popular person, so I'll try as much as possible not to mention names. And he told me that his plan for the event was to antagonize a lot of the government officials at the event. But after speaking to the VP, because the first thing the Vice President did was to apologize to everyone that we know that we've not given a lot of support to the creative industry, but things will change. So that changed a lot of things, first of all. And I was happy that I got that feedback from someone like that. Then we had the event, the VP was there. Sorry. Then one of my sponsors of that event was Providence Bank. The MD was there. He came for the event because before then, I was having a conversation with him. I said, okay, let's hold on these conversations until that event. So they attended the event, and he came back and said, because from that conversation, we got a lot of feedback, and some of the feedback we got were access to finance, capacity development, and also infrastructure. So those were three key issues that were taken from that event. And the top there was access to finance. And I thought to myself, how can I solve this problem? And I was glad that my partners were there at the event. So after the event, I went back to Providence Bank, and I told them that I am glad that you guys attended that event and you heard every single thing from the stakeholders. I need to solve this problem, which is access to finance. And I want you guys to help me. And they were willing to go on this journey with me. So we started having the conversations, and at the end of the day, the MD was willing to put down some amount of money to support the creative industry. But it wasn't just the amount of money, because for me, it's how do you get the money? So some of the challenges were collaterals. I know it's difficult for creatives to get collaterals to access those finance. So my conversation was, can we take out this collateral? Because creatives are not like the oil and gas or those in construction. For them, I think, this is my opinion, their own collateral is their intellectual property. So this is the conversation that we need to have. So back and front, at the end of the day, the bank was willing to take off the collateral. I don't know of any bank in Nigeria today that will give anybody money without a collateral. I don't know of any.
So Providence Bank took that risk?
Took that risk and said that they were going to do this based on the integrity of the individuals. So I was glad that we were able to achieve that. And I went back to the office and I did a report, and we invited some of the stakeholders back to the villa so that this can be announced, and the bank ED was there too. So I invited the likes of RMD, Alibaba, Obi Asika, some big names, and even this lady too. Tony Tones was there, was one of those that I invited. So we came back and the VP announced. So there was excitement that, okay, this was going to happen. And the next thing was, how do we implement this? And the bank asked me, Fegho, you're the one in this industry. How do you want us to do this? I said, okay, we have these guys that have gathered together. Let's start with these people. At least you know them. You can bank on their integrity and say, okay, we're going to do this based on what you guys have done before. Then they started the vetting process. What I did was, because this was a project, I ensured that I was in that whole conversation. So when they were interviewing everyone, so what they told them to do was do a project document on the film we want to produce and present it. So they did all of those vetting. I sat in all the different vetting process. And when they were done, the chief risk officer, because it's loaned, it has to be in his desk. So him and his team, they vet all the application. Then they go back and said, Fegho, we've gone through all the documents, we've gone through all the interviews and all of that. These are the people that we've selected. So the names were RMD, Obi Emenelu, I hope I got that name correctly. What's the guy's name again? William Ochemba and Tito Gofere. So at least we had 3 people in film, then someone in the interior designing space, because she had done a documentary called Made by Design, which is on Netflix. So it was based on that. They said, okay, since you've done this and it was a success, let's bring. So these were the four people.
So you got funding out for them.
Out for them.
Now,
yeah.
so subsequently, you were also getting funds out, but not in the magnitude of what you got at the first tranche.
No, but let me explain. For the first phase, what the bank now did was to approve 1.5 billion for the 4 of them. But RMD deferred his payment. Why? Because the project he wanted that fund for, he had already completed it. And I appreciated his integrity. So he deferred his own project to 2025. But at the end of the day, he didn't take that money. So it was now left to just 3 persons. So Obi, William, and also Titi. And they took that money and they got 100% of the funding to produce the movie. And I attended the production of this guy because for me, I also wanted to ensure that they were going to use that money for the purpose that they got the money from. Even the bank too was also monitoring this. And these guys produced, they went ahead to do the production and all of that. Most of those films were supposed to come out last year, but because of the issue that we had with Netflix and Amazon Prime, that they pulled out the beat, and so it affected the timing. But I was glad that the bank too was willing to adjust with the old timeline and all of that, and most of them moved into this year. But good news, one of the film, which is Safari, is launching next month. It's coming out to the cinema next month. When Obi told me that it was finally ready to push, I was so excited because a lot of news had gone out that this was not going to happen and all of that. So I'm glad that at least these guys have done this film and it's going to come out and the bank will get their money back. And for me, it was critical for us to get this right because my vision was to have other banks come in. Because if it works with Providence Bank, then it's easy to bring in other banks. So
there was a tear in the sector. Everybody thought now that the money is coming. At what point did you start scamming people? Because that's the word. Arese went online and said, you collected money, but you were not giving. When were you scamming people? You took money, the money that doesn't belong to you, and you were scamming, and they were saying that you were collecting kickbacks too.
Okay, fantastic. So after the first batch, because a lot of people didn't believe that this was going to work. After the first batch, everybody now knew about it. Suddenly, everybody wanted the money, and I got some of those information that people were saying that people that got the money bribed you and all of that, and I was not the one that approved the names. The bank didn't give me money. The bank sent money to them directly. So because of that, I now told the bank, see, going forward, I think I'm going to pull back a bit and allow just the bank to handle the whole process. So what the bank now did was now to create an email address and push it out there. But what I now did was we now had an event in Lagos at the hotel. We invited the stakeholders together and they sat in the room and we explained everything to them. And what the bank also now did was, because now we now had more people asking for that money, they had to reduce the maximum to now 200 million and ask everyone to apply. So what I did was just to take myself off. But still, they were still coming back to me, and I told them that I am not involved anymore.
But your signature, there are documents that surfaced online where you were still, you created documentation where monies were coming out and you were making approvals. Even when you were disengaged, you were still going around town calling yourself a presidential aide.
Okay, so after the Providence Fund, the thing about success is that everybody hears about it, and different partners started reaching out to me that they wanted to work with me, and I started getting support. So this was outside of Providence now, because Providence was loan. I can't give loan as grant to anybody. So because I started getting partners, what I now did was I started giving out money as sponsorship. There were a few people that I gave money without signing any agreement. So like AY got money for AY Life in 2024. I was not even in that event. I gave him then also Shei Law. Then once I did that and people started seeing it, I started getting a lot of requests. I got close to 500 emails requesting for money. I have not said this anywhere. I had to reach out to a lot of my friends to give me loan, personal loan, that I have to pay outside of government, close to 200 million naira to be able to do this work. I gave out close to 500 million. Out of that money was the money I got from people there to do.
Give me a moment, please, because I'm going to ask you, you were given a query from the office of the vice president. You were disengaged, and there are those who are asking, the Arrest matter, you have not, I'm going to talk one or two times now, you have not reacted to Arrest matter. Where is Arrest's money? And there are other people also who said, their matter is like Arrest's own. I'll allow you to respond to that. Okay. We'll be right back, everyone. Stay with us.
My name is Austin Azoko Kocha, but you all call me JJ. That's because I was so unstoppable, they named me twice. During my days as a professional footballer, I played as an attacking midfielder. No one could stop me, not even malaria, when mosquito bites. Now you too can be unstoppable if you use Lonat against malaria.
Lonat, a combination of Artemether and lumefantrine. Lonat, be unstoppable.
The Duchess International Hospital opened its doors in October 2021. The mission of the hospital is to reverse medical tourism. We take particular care here at the Duchess to bring together a combination of the brightest and the best locally, as well as Nigerians in the diaspora who are interested in returning to do very good work for the benefit of our patients here in this country.
The good thing is that we have all international expertise here, all international facilities here, international people working here. Everything is coming together in a space which was considered not great in terms of the availability of healthcare.
Access Bank, of course, has been able to provide us with a robust range of products and services that has enabled us to deliver that standard and quality of healthcare that is integral to our mission as an organization.
Thanks so much. Governor is still speaking with us. He was disengaged by the presidency, served as the special assistant to the president on creative economy from the office of the vice president. So I was asking specifically, there was a memo querying you about your activities and how you disbursed money and what has been seen as high-handedness. And you were thereafter disengaged. There was an investigation that we understand was supposed to be done on you, on your activities and how you use official logo and letterhead for funds and monies that were not gotten approval from the office of the vice president. Why were you doing all of that?
Okay. I made mention of the number of requests that I got in terms of people asking for money. And I knew it was going to be difficult for me to manage all of this because so what I did was now to create a structure where we're saying we will support you, but you have to give us 60 working days before money can be released because the numbers were a lot. So we needed to manage They're close to, I sent an Excel sheet to you, they're close to 50 projects that we sponsored. There was no way, because it's not my money. I have to go out to look for money to support this. So that's what we're doing, and that's why I did that agreement, because I wanted the documentation to show, and I used my office to do that.
But did you get approval?
So that was the mistake that I made, because for every single thing that I did in that office, I had reports that I submitted. So the people in the villa knew every single thing I was doing, but I didn't inform my boss that I was giving them this agreement to sign. But I was doing that because I wanted documentation, and this is my office. So for RSS issue, that was not the first time we're supporting RSS. Like I made a mention that there were four premier that we sponsored. RSS was one of them. We have sponsored the Smart Money Woman. In terms, because I don't have so much time, RSS event happened on the 24th of October 2024. And if you see the agreement that I gave you, you will see 60 working days. But still, the first payment that was given to RSL was on the 14th of November. That was not even 60 working days. So there were people that I even had to even compromise to even give money. Why? Because she was putting a lot of pressure. And sincerely, I supported her because I felt she had a good project. That was the first one. Then the second one, she came back again and said she needed money. And we told her that we don't have money. If you see, I also send you emails. Every single time that they send a request, I don't respond to it. So I have 5 teams in Lagos, 5 teams in Abuja. They respond because I wanted to cut myself away from this because I didn't want to get emotional. But sometimes these guys can drag you into that space. And we gave her that agreement to sign. And it was 60 working days. And there was a clause there that said that if we're not able to pay in 60 working days, you have to give us time. So it was open-ended.
But did you explain to RSS?
Everybody will explain to everybody. And I want to assume that everybody can read, because she signed that stuff. So she read that document and she put it out there. And
but she was sending you constant messages to say, my money is still being held. They weren't, and at some point you blocked her.
Yes.
And all of these details she put online.
Fantastic. If you see the message I sent to you, I try to take myself away from money conversation. Like I said, so that I don't get emotional or don't get sentimental about it, because there was a team managing that. And I told her, there's a channel, because that's where you've been communicating to. So why are you bringing this to me? Because now you're trying to make it a friendship thing. I said, I don't want to do that. And I said in that message, I said, please write to the proper channel. And that's what I did. I started sending me following messages because I didn't want to respond to that. That's why I blocked her.
Because all of these things, there are those on the inside in the villa who said you were not getting a proper approval. And all of those things were on the table and on the handlings that you were doing. Can you for a fact say you were never scamming people? Because there are those who say in their names you got money, but you never get it released to them. And because there are no approvals, it was just you and you getting the money, and the money never gets into these people.
Sheon, I worked in the private sector before I got into government. There's a principle of sponsorship. It's free money. Even corporate organizations to have those kind of structure too. It is not your money. So I go to ask people for money because I want to support you. But
they said you were siphoning that money.
How can I siphon it?
The system is not aware that you got those money. And the people who applied for the money, they never got it.
Sheon, I told you.
Did you see the language in RSS state?
I saw the language. I saw
and there are those who agreed. There are those who said you gave some money to some people who do their shows. When it came to them, you blanked out.
I cannot support everybody. So imagine if the whole 500 requests that came to me, I told all of them yes. How would I manage this?
What do you say about your reputation today? Because you were disengaged. In the thinking of the system that you were a scammer, and there was a lot of scandal under your watch.
Sheon, I think my work speaks for me. One of the things I tried to do was on my Instagram page, I always posted everyone that was supported. So what I would say is that my work will speak for me. Everyone that I supported.
Did you embezzle money?
Never.
Did you siphon funds?
Never.
Did you scam any of these people?
Never. And I have every single...
Those people who said
I have every single documentation. Let me tell you what we're doing. And they know that it will be difficult for me to respond on social media. So it's like you're using that to blackmail me because you know that I won't be able to respond.
Did you regret ever doing this?
Ever supporting?
Taking that appointment?
I don't, because I wanted to serve. I will never regret ever
If there's
taking
something for you to do to have corrected this, what would that be?
I think the only mistake that I made, which was not telling my boss that I was giving guys this agreement to sign, because I didn't think that was anything. I think if I have to correct anything, that's the only thing I'll correct. But regretting ever supporting the creative industry or doing the work, it was stressful. And I will go home, sleepless nights and every single thing. Why? Because I'm supporting people that I don't even know. So do I regret that? Never. If I have the opportunity, I will do it over and over again. My records are there. Go to my Instagram page. You'll see all the names of everyone that I supported.
Fegho, Umunubo, former presidential aide, thanks so much indeed.
Thank you very much
for coming to clear the issues.
Thank you.
That's our show for tonight. Everyone, many thanks for watching. I'm sure God bless Nigeria.